What is up, YouTube? This is Kai Cannon from Arguably Georgia Sports, and today we are going to be recapping Week 10 of the 2017 college football season, and maybe previewing a bit of Week 11 and talking about some of the rankings.
Yeah, so this one was really interesting. We had two huge upsets in the Big Ten, and so let's get right into it. I'm going to start out with one of the biggest games of the weekend, which was Alabama LSU. It was 24-14, and even though LSU's offense got more yards than Alabama's, what are your thoughts on this?
I think Alabama's offense did not look good at all.
Yeah, but they really don't need that many. The reason they had less yards was because their defense set it up for them perfectly.
I mean, that's what they do. That's what they do. That's how they win championships. Is with defense. And the only time LSU really had a good drive, except for maybe the field goal, was right after Alabama had scored.
But their run game was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you saw Geis escape several good passes. Now let's go. I'm gonna double check on the stats here because I think let's just look at these. So LSU coming in the game 19-2. It was actually a very competitive game. But LSU didn't score a touchdown until the third quarter. But so Danny Etling passed for 137 yards. Jalen Hurts surprisingly passed for 183. That's usually don't see him pass for that much. But LSU rushed for 151 yards. Alabama 116. So LSU scored.
But I mean, did we really expect anything else out of this game? I mean, I was thinking Alabama probably win by 2 possessions. It'll be close for a while, and then Alabama will just run down the clock or pull away.
Yeah, so that was an interesting game. And then another game with the same score. Number 1 Georgia at South Carolina coming to Georgia. It was 24-10. Georgia didn't look perfect in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody really did in the top 5. But they did come out with the win in the end. Had a bit of a weak defensive game, but Jake Fromm passed for 200 yards.
Georgia's run defense was great, but their pass defense was not.
Yeah, let up a few deep passes that were
quite a few.
So he threw for 200 yards. That was good to see that they can pass it like that. That in the Missouri game where he had 326 yards. So he's had a couple good games, which proves that their offense can operate.
Notre Dame giving up 37 points to Wake Forest.
Okay, now this game may change the rankings, the college football playoff rankings, and this is why. Their quarterback got injured. The Ryan Finley. And their running back also. So 2 injuries.
Mm-hmm.
That could affect their team.
But
Josh Adams usually runs for 200 to 300 yards.
How severe are the injuries?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know, but I mean, it could affect their ranking coming in next week.
I think Wimbush is all right.
Oklahoma State at Bedlam. This was a crazy
no
game.
Defense at all in this game.
No, it was the highest scoring game in the series, and this is a highly offensive conference anyway. So, but it was really a shootout, and then one interception in the end zone for Oklahoma State pretty much gave Oklahoma the win. 62-52, 114 total points. Baker Mayfield passed for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns in 36 passes.
Mm-hmm.
So he got about 20 yards average a pass.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty good. This was a crazy game. Went deep into the fourth quarter, and that one turnover pretty much changed the entire game. This one was probably the most surprising game of the week.
Man,
Ohio State, Iowa. Ohio State lost 24-55. Their score more than doubled.
And maybe Iowa jumps into the rankings now. I mean,
Well,
6-3 with a huge win.
Yep, and the only way, unfortunately, the only way for them to reach the championship is for Wisconsin to lose out.
If that happened, I don't think the Big 12 would make the playoff. Let's be
The
honest.
Big Ten.
The Big 10. Well, I mean, think about it. It's possible if Notre Dame made the playoff,
And possibly two SEC teams.
you could have the Big 12, the Pac-12,
You
and
could
the
have
Big 10 all being left out.
Yeah, you could have the ACC. Well, okay, so here's the thing. If you get, which is actually getting more and more likely every week, Notre Dame and two SEC teams, and you have a couple two-loss conference champions.
Yeah.
Well, you could have, for me, the best chance for an undefeated conference champion outside of the SEC, well, pretty much the only chance is, for me, Miami.
Yeah, I think Miami has to win out, though. They have a really weak schedule.
Well, no, they don't, though. They
Virginia
played
Tech,
Virginia Tech, which we'll get to later, and they're going to play Notre Dame, and they're going to play Clemson.
Ooh, that's going to be a big game, Notre Dame and Miami.
Yeah, I mean, in what they look like.
Loser, I think, is eliminated from the playoff.
But before we go to that game, we're going to talk about Penn State, Michigan State, this game. Michigan State pulling it out in one of the last plays of the game with a field goal, 34-yard field goal. This was a huge upset.
Yeah,
And, okay, so now, who has the best chance to win the Big Ten?
Oh, easily Wisconsin. Wisconsin, definitely.
What about the Big Ten East?
The Big Ten East? Maybe Michigan State.
That's what I was thinking. But they still have to play Ohio State. It's going to be one of those two teams. Penn State has no chance because they're not going to be in front of Michigan State or Ohio State, so they'd almost have to lose out.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. So that was a crazy game. Saquon Barkley limited to 63 yards. Michigan State passing for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns on 56 attempts, which was surprising. Then Texas TCU 24-7. Texas not
TCU's got a
generating
good
anything on
defense
offense
against these Big 12 offenses.
They've had defensive struggles on most of their games.
They've stunted every team they've played.
Yep, but their offense hasn't generated more than, I think, 30 points. But 24-7, Texas going 4-5, starting with a losing record. Hopefully they make a bowl. They have to beat either West Virginia or Texas Tech in order to do that.
They have to win 2 games to be sure. But if you go 5-7,
you can still possibly.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Indiana, 45-17, just kind of what we expected there.
Well, this was a 1-possession game going into the fourth quarter.
And then it was 21-0.
Yeah.
Now this one really proved something to me. Miami, Virginia Tech, as we were talking about earlier. Miami finally making a statement, 28-10. I mean, the first quarter and the early second quarter were close, but even when it was 0-0, it seemed like Miami was winning big. They did get stopped their first possession in the red zone.
I think that has to do with them being at home, partly. I think, and they're getting stops. But against a team that I think was actually favored.
I have to say one thing. Miami is 101st in the country at red zone offense. 101st.
You gotta fix that. I think we'll see what they really are against Notre Dame.
I think I saw what they really were against Virginia Tech. Because this was what everybody was saying. We'll see what they can do.
Virginia Tech is not a playoff caliber team. People are talking about Miami like they're a playoff caliber team.
Well, why not?
We'll see.
Why aren't they? Why aren't Virginia Tech? Why not?
Virginia Tech, because
their only losses are to Clemson and now Miami.
Yeah,
which is a statement win.
You can't lose those games and be a playoff caliber team.
Why not?
To be a playoff caliber team, you got to have 1 loss or less.
But you can't lose to
some signature wins. Those are possible signature wins that they lost.
Well, Penn State and Ohio State are playoff caliber teams, and they have 2 losses, and some of them are very bad.
I'm not saying. Well, exactly. So they're not playoff caliber teams.
But they are.
No, they're not.
Yeah, why
They've
not?
shown that Ohio State definitely showed that they're not a playoff caliber team. With the game against Oklahoma, now against Iowa, they've shown that they.
So Clemson didn't show that when they lost to Syracuse?
No, because Clemson still has some big wins like Virginia Tech and Louisville. And if you go by your philosophy, Louisville's not very good now, but then they were a top 25 team and it was on the road. They've played some big games and they've won.
All right. Washington against Oregon, 38-3. I don't think we need to say much more on that. Oregon's terrible. Washington is kind of flying under the radar with their night games. Do you think they could still make it in?
I think they're the Pac-12's only chance.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else could possibly. Some people are saying Stanford, but they lost. So they have 3 losses now.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn, Texas A&M, 42-27. I put this one on upset alert. It was close at the beginning. There were 2 blocked punts, one against either team, and then Texas A&M also blocked a field goal, an easy field goal. So that was a very fun game to watch. Auburn just kind of, I feel like that was a big win for them because they haven't. I mean, if you look at who else have they beat? I mean, they beat Mississippi State.
And they destroyed Mississippi State too.
Yeah. Well, see, it was good. It was kind of good for Georgia that they played them before.
Yeah.
Auburn did.
Yeah.
Because then it looks like a better win.
Uh-huh. But Mississippi State has recovered and
they still are a pretty good team.
Yeah. They struggled with UMass in the first half.
Iowa State, West Virginia. West Virginia won this one 20-16. I was surprised.
Yeah, it was 20-3 at halftime. I think it was 20-0 at one point. Yeah, it was just. Iowa State was real, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think they.
It's still
I still kind of think they are.
It's still a great season for them. Well,
but okay.
I heard something that I think is very true. They don't have the talent that a lot of these teams have, but they have incredible chemistry.
See, that's why I feel like Matt Campbell should be in the talk for one of those coaching jobs that's coming up in the SEC. I think 5 of them are probably going to clear up.
Really? After one good year, you'd give him an SEC job?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
If you look at what he's done, he beat TCU, he beat Oklahoma.
Okay.
And it's not just like those, because if it was just one, then, nobody would have even known what the heck Iowa State's coach is. But now that he did 2, they look like a legit team. Mm-hmm. Mississippi State having some trouble with UMass at 34-23. Not looking too great for Mississippi State. I think it was just an off game. Nick Fitzgerald ran for 134 yards, 135 yards though, 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It was still a good game, entertaining game to watch. But UMass had a couple deep bombs on them.
And a pick 6, yeah. And then Khalil Tate got shut down in this game against USC.
Yeah, he did. I mean, that was, he's not even, we have top performers on here. He's not even one of them, which is surprising. He was beginning to be considered for the Heisman if Arizona kept on winning. Yeah. But I think that kind of ended it. I don't think you can have 4 losses and still be considered for the Heisman. USC.
Even though this was his first loss as a starter. It
is. 49-35. They're finally doing something. 20 out of 26 was Sam Darnold. 311 yards for 2 touchdowns. UCF against SMU. Scott Frost being considered for a coaching job in the SEC. Especially Florida. 31-24. I think UCF.
You know what I would love to see? Absolutely, I would love to see. I don't think it's gonna happen, but UCF sneak into the playoff. That would be awesome.
If they went undefeated.
They went undefeated.
Won the American.
I mean, it's possible. Boise State was.
Are they in the same division as USF?
Yes, they are. They played them last game of the year.
Because I was gonna say if they beat them in the championship, that might. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Last year, Western Michigan went undefeated and only ended up at 14.
They went to a
they went to a good bowl.
They went to a New Year's Six bowl and gave Wisconsin a good fight though.
Yep. What if a New Year's Six bowl was in the playoffs? That would be crazy.
They are.
I mean, they could be.
The 2 of them are. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Stanford, Washington State. Stanford having another loss on the road. Bryce Love only rushed for 69 yards, only got the ball 16 times, so that was interesting to see. Washington State just kind of 24-21 won by a field goal.
This is gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a Washington State, Washington. I believe that's a winner of that goes to the Pac-12 championship if they both win out. Yeah.
Now we're gonna look at AP poll if it has come out. It has. Okay, no. All right. So I think that's gonna conclude it. Actually, we'll look at a couple of the big games next week first.
There is
11. I know
Georgia versus
Auburn, which is a huge game.
That's gonna be a very close game. I think Georgia might win by 3.
3.
At Jordan Hare, it's probably gonna be a primetime game. I think that's gonna be a great game.
All right. I know also Alabama playing Mississippi State. And Washington Stanford. Michigan State, Ohio State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State,
Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. Listen. Both teams had the same record last year going into this game, and Georgia Tech went into Blacksburg and won it. So that was.
Notre Dame, Miami. We already mentioned Alabama. And then TCU, Oklahoma. All right. So, which one of these would you put? You think the lower ranked team would win?
You know what? I'm going to say. Well, the new rankings haven't come out yet, so. I would say Auburn over Georgia.
Really? Mm-hmm. Georgia, to me, has looked like a very complete team. Mm-hmm. They're not missing any aspect of the game. Their special teams even.
Or maybe TCU over Oklahoma.
I would take that one because I feel like TCU has a great defense and they've been putting up enough numbers on offense. This is going to be the first real defense that they've played Oklahoma. All right, so I think this is going to conclude our episode today. Mm-hmm. And as always, but not really as always, but now pretty much always, goodbye.
Okay. What is up, YouTube? This is Kai Cannon from Arguably Georgia Sports, and today we are going to be recapping Week 10 of the 2017 college football season, and maybe previewing a bit of Week 11 and talking about some of the rankings.
Yeah, so this one was really interesting. We had 2 huge upsets in the Big Ten,